Tonight, a man connected to a missing 19-year-old in the region rejected home detention while facing drugs charges. And Whyalla aims sky high as it puts its hand up to host a Qantas Pilot Academy.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. A man connected to missing Adelaide man Scott Redman has today been refused home detention bail. Damien Kennedy is facing 4 counts of drug-related charges and this morning had his 3rd application for bail knocked back. Garth Burley was in court.
Damien Kennedy fronted the Port Augusta Magistrates Court today for the 2nd time via video link, facing a string of alleged drug offences. The defence argued for the presumption in favour of bail due to his young age and no prior history of breaching bail conditions. But the prosecution was quick to sway Magistrate Milazzo to a number of concerning factors regarding the proposed address of the detention. It argued the most pressing issue of this application was that the said address is merely walking distance from the property where police found leaders of GHB in the possession of the accused. Additionally, of the residents at this address, 2 of themselves are on bail, 1 for drugs charges. For these reasons, Magistrate Milazzo refused the application for home detention, making it the 3rd time he's been rejected for such an application. The first application was knocked back as his own grandfather did not want him at the residence. The prosecution argued that because of Mr Kennedy's lack of family ties to the area, the temptation to flee to Western Australia again would be very high if bail was granted. Mr Kennedy and missing man Scott Redman were attempting to flee to Western Australia last month when they allegedly became involved in a police pursuit. He was located in Whyalla just 2 days later, but the whereabouts of Redman are still unknown. He'll face court again in Adelaide in November.
A 48-year-old man from the Yorke Peninsula has been arrested and charged with producing and possessing child exploitation material. Detectives arrested the man earlier this week. He's since been released on bail and will face the Kadina Magistrates Court in July. Anyone with information about people involved in child exploitation is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Whyalla Council has confirmed it'll apply to host Qantas's proposed training pilot academy. The Flying Kangaroo has launched a campaign inviting regional centres to bid for the project. John Hunt has more.
Qantas is preparing to give a new generation of pilots formal training, and it's looking to a regional airport to host a facility. Whyalla Council wants to be the preferred destination and has confirmed it'll bid to host a terminal. Nick Xenophon's SA Best pledged during the state election to push Whyalla's case.
Hundreds of people being trained to be pilots here in the regions will be a huge boost to Whyalla.
Qantas has officially opened the bidding process, inviting applicants to show their suitability. Despite SA Best failing to gain the balance of power, Whyalla Council is still keen to put up its hand.
Just seen the RFQ from Qantas this morning, and once we've got more detail, I'll be preparing detailed reports for Council's consideration.
Up to 500 pilots a year would be trained. Applicant cities will need certain types of infrastructure, along with conditions suitable for 300 days of flying per year. Council says work has begun on assessing what the airport currently has and what infrastructure will need to be built. It's also talking to the new state government about support and will also look to the private sector.
We're in dialogue at the minute and trying to understand the level of state government support, private sector support.
Qantas says up to 40 regional cities have expressed an interest in hosting the academy. It means Whyalla will have its work cut out, competing against some of the larger regional cities in Australia for this lucrative opportunity.
The Port Lincoln Skate Park is about to finally get a much-needed facelift. While the construction means the park will be closed for the next 3 months, locals can't wait for the finished product.
Port Lincoln skaters and riders pumped to get revamped park.
Monday 21 we'll be closing the park for about 3 months while we undertake major reconstruction works, and we're adding a lot of streetscaping elements that'll be really enjoyed by the skating and the community that ride their bikes and their scooters and skate here.
Locals of all ages and skill levels can't wait.
They're going to be really good for the community and it gives little kids something to do because they're not as big, because the bowl is pretty intimidating for the little younger ones. All the rails are a bit too high, but there's going to be a few smaller ones I've seen on the plans. That's going to be a lot more streety, sort of, more technical.
There's been plenty of investment to ensure the design is just right.
About $200,000 from the state government in their from their recreational grants, and council will be putting in about $400,000.
Residents are advised the park will be off limits for the next short while.
I just asked the skaters to be tolerant with us. It will be closed totally while we undertake these works for those 3 months, but we will have it done before summer.
Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
Another Broken Hill footy export will make his AFL debut this weekend. Former North Bulldog Isaac Cumming will line up for the Greater Western Sydney Giants tomorrow, and his hometown club couldn't be prouder.
Hot off the heels of Kobe Much debuting for Essendon, another Silver City footballer is about to play at the sport's highest level. After being drafted to the Giants in 2016, Isaac had a stellar year in the club's reserve side. Isaac averaged over 20 disposals and received the NEAFL's Development Award. This season he's been garnering close to 30 possessions a game, those efforts earning him a chance to make his debut when GWS take on West Coast at Spotless Stadium.
Yeah, it has been a long time coming with last year not getting the opportunity, but I suppose last year was a good learning experience to have a year to sort of really push my case for an AFL spot, and yeah, obviously I'm glad to get it done a bit earlier in this year.
His hometown footy club is more than excited.
The club just couldn't be happier. We couldn't be prouder for Isaac. He's a wonderful lad.
What people are doing to get down here, it's ridiculous, so I'm very glad that some of them are able to come.
Crows captain and former local Tex Walker even touched base to wish him all the best.
He didn't tell me how to play or what to do when I'm out there, but he just told me to simply enjoy it and have fun, and yeah, I'm glad I got the call from him. So I'm just a back flanker whose priority is to defend first, but I like to get the ball in my hands and energise the ball as much as I can and change angles with my kicking and speed, hopefully.
GWS will play the Eagles tomorrow afternoon. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
In the news ahead, hundreds set to flock to Whyalla as the town's cuttlefish season begins. That's next. The 2014 vintage of Taylor's Wines Cabernet Sauvignon has been voted the world's best Cabernet. It took out the title in Paris earlier this week, with judges saying it's best described as a flawless modern Cabernet that will please immediately with its rich and creamy taste. The Clare Valley Winery says it's a huge honour and a testament to the dedication of its hard-working team. The first signs of cuttlefish are appearing around Whyalla, with locals gearing up for a big season. It's set to be a boost for the local economy as interstate and overseas visitors flock to the region for a glimpse of these mysterious creatures.
Cold winter months are a hot time for Whyalla tourism as the cuttlefish flock to the area to breed. An early indication suggests it'll be a bumper season.
They've come in early and big numbers, and they're very active at Black Point and spreading along the reef right now. It's looking great.
A population revival in the past couple of years has globalised focus on our town. It's having an effect, with local diving businesses preparing for a large influx of visitors. Bookings are through the roof this year, including a 400-strong party that'll visit during the June long weekend.
We've had people from overseas and locally in good numbers, and we're only a week into the season.
The Tourism Focus Group says hoteliers, restaurants and caravan parks will benefit from the influx.
We've got a lot of inquiries for June and July. Talking to the people that run the tours, things are very busy for them. They're getting lots of bookings.
A documentary on the creatures had Lindbergh determined to go diving with them. The Canadian-born Adelaide resident is taking the plunge this weekend and says she can't wait to see them in the flesh.
The way they do the dance, the changing of the colours, I just had to come and take a look for myself.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
A young photographer with big goals has put some of his work on display for the first time. The Port Lincoln primary school student and his family discovered he had a natural talent the day he picked up his first camera.
11 years old with a camera in hand, and the world at his fingertips.
My dad had got a camera to like photograph our childhood, and I thought I might as well take it out one day.
He sort of developed it by chance because he grabbed hold of Dad's camera one day and took a few photos, and we thought, wow, that's pretty impressive, given he'd had no experience whatsoever before that.
Callum Forsyth took his camera with him on a recent school trip to China, and this month launched his first exhibition at the Nautilus Arts Centre.
And it was a bit of a surprise for all of us because he rocked back from China with all these amazing photos.
While snapping the shutter more than 500 times on his trip, he does have a personal favourite.
I guess the colours, and it looks like it just goes on forever, and the reflection of the water with the plants.
It was at a photographer's workshop at this year's Salt Festival that launched Callum to the next level.
We were able to change settings like aperture and shutter speed, and some of that really helped me with the style that I like going for.
And young Callum has his sights set beyond local exhibitions.
He said right from the get-go his goal is he wants to take photos for Nat Geo. That's the one thing he wants to do. And so we just need to be there to support him and encourage him to reach his goals.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Well, Mother's Day is this Sunday and a local charity has been hard at work bundling colourful gift ideas for local mums. The Port Augusta Community Charities Group has been arranging collections of flowers for purchase, with the profits flowing right back to the local community.
Choose the arrangement, bundle the flowers, wrap the flowers, trim the edges, add the pretty touches, rinse, repeat. Over the last week, the charity has been run off its feet as volunteers work to meet an annual demand for Mother's Day gifts.
Come from Perry, come from Wyler, they go up to Corn, they buy from us, and we got from little $2 little posies for Grandma right up to the big native baskets.
The group sells the flowers at stalls around Port Augusta and then gives the benefits of its hard work back into the local community.
We don't keep anything, even the petrol to go to pick the flowers, I buy them.
It's a good feeling to give it back to the community. It really is.
The group says the personality behind each choice of flowers is something a mother will appreciate more than any other gift.
You don't want to give them anything they put in the cupboard. You want something they can look at and they get a big surprise at it. You know?
They pick them out, special, and give them to you to say thank you for what you've done.
You can have a dozen dads, but you can only have one mum. And don't ever forget that. They're special people.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, Port Pirie sisters represent the country in a softball tournament overseas. The details coming up next. 2 art competitions are now underway in Broken Hill, including one offering up to $15,000 for first prize. But not only will the winning artist bag some cash, they'll also join a nationally recognised art collection.
The Pro Heart Outback Art Prize is arguably the biggest art competition on Broken Hill's calendar, attracting plenty of local, national and international interest.
Our most exciting event for the year, which is a big call out to all artists over the world to submit entries that relate to the theme of the spirit of the outback.
A total prize pool of $19,000 is available, with a grand prize of $15,000 to the winner. The winning work is also added to the nationally recognised collection at the Broken Hill Regional Art Gallery. Entries close on June 15, with judging to be held in August.
It has a long history in Broken Hill of being a really exciting prize, and we've grown the collection from the 70s onwards.
And entries are closing very soon for the 2018 Waste to Art competition, a challenge for artists to create something with recycled materials.
This year's theme is styrofoam, so they're encouraging any artworks made out of styrofoam, whether you have melted it and reused it, or used it to print with, or used it to display on.
Organisers say artists have got till Monday to get their works in. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
2 sisters from Port Pirie have been selected to represent Australia in a softball tournament in Japan later this year. They're just 2 of 4 girls from SA to be chosen, and they say they couldn't be prouder to come from a small country town.
The Adams sisters are certainly dominating in the softball world.
2 of 4 girls from South Australia selected to go to Japan to play for the Under-16 Softball Australia Aussie Diamonds.
Playing in Tokyo, Ota and Chiba.
Over 80 girls from across the country tried out for the national team, but only 16, including the 13 and 15-year-olds, made it in.
The team's made up of girls from across Australia except Northern Territory and Tasmania.
It's easy to see why the pair were selected. Zali already has a fierce pitch, throwing at over 90 k's an hour.
Train about 3 to 4 nights a week, just fielding, pitching, batting, working on techniques and fitness.
They'll also be heading to Cairns next week to compete in another tournament, batting off against other states from across the country.
We're going to represent South Australia in the Under-17s Schoolgirls State Tournament.
And they say they couldn't feel prouder to call Port Pirie home.
It feels pretty great to be representing Port Pirie as well as South Australia overseas.
It's good to see them awarded for all their hard work.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Well, from one sport to another, here's this week's footy tips.
Hello and welcome to round 4 of SGL football. This round starts with Sollies and the Lions on Saturday at Port Oval. I'm tipping the Lions in this one. In Port Augusta on Saturday, it's Port who travel to face topside South. I'm tipping South. On Sunday in Port Augusta, it's Central hosting West. I'm tipping Central.
Complete first round of matches will be done by the end of this weekend, and a very important game is the early game at Memorial Oval on Saturday. Rapina versus Central Whyalla. Both teams not travelling well at all this season so far, so a win is crucial. Toss of the coin job, but we'll stick with Rapina given the potential of their forward line to kick more goals. Late game on Saturday, we'll see West Whyalla versus Marina Bay. Bay's got their first win last week, so they'll be full of confidence. West, however, beat the third team by 100 points, and I think West will have another comfortable victory. And finally, on Sunday at Memorial Oval, North Whyalla versus South Whyalla. It's first versus third. Should be the match of the round, but I think North will continue on their winning way and win this one easily.
Welcome to Port Lincoln Footy Tips and round 3. We kick things off at Centenary Oval where Waybacks are taking on Lincoln South. Being reigning premiers, I'm tipping Waybacks to be too strong and win this one by 7 to 8 goals. In the next game, we got Boston's hosting Mallee Park at Poole Oval. Mallee Park had their biggest loss in the last few years against Tasman's last week. I think they're going to respond with hard, aggressive football and win this one comfortably. In the final game, and what I'm calling match of the round, we got Tasman's hosting Marble Range at Ravendale Oval. Marble Range are tracking along quite nicely, however I'm tipping Tasman's to win this one as they've got too many power forwards. I'm tipping them to win by less than 3 goals.
Round 3 of Broken Hill football sees West take on South. South are at full straps again where they finished last year. West very undermanned, it'll be a South winning easy. Second game at the Memorial sees North take on Central. Central can have a good day. I think they'll beat the Northies by 5 to 7 points.
Stay with us. After the break, I'll have all your local weather details. Welcome back. Well, it's certainly getting cooler, a top of just 18 degrees in Port Augusta, Whyalla and Port Lincoln today. Cloudy skies in Port Pirie as well. A cooler top of 16 degrees with sunny skies in Broken Hill. Showers in Adelaide, a top of 17 there today. On the satellite, speckled cloud sweeping over the south and east with a cold, unstable air mass is generating frequent showers and the odd storm, which is heaviest, over the upper and lower southeast districts. Southerly winds on the waters tomorrow between 15 and 20 knots, seas high at 2.5 metres. Sunrise is just after 7, sunset at 5:30. These mild conditions continuing into the weekend, 19 the top with a cool overnight low in Port Augusta, cloudy in Whyalla, showers for Port Lincoln a top of 19, cooler in Broken Hill 16 degrees, Clare heading for a very chilly 15. Looking ahead now, showers on the way for Port Lincoln with temperatures climbing up ever so slightly on Monday, a top of 20. Cloudy skies in Cleve, a top of 19 over the weekend. Woodner will stay fine, heading for tops of 21. It's a similar story further up the Gulf, 20 degrees on Monday and Tuesday with fine conditions in Whyalla, 21 and sunny to kick off the week in Port Augusta. Cloudy skies forecast on Tuesday in Kadina. And finally, the mercury will climb into the low 20s in Port Pirie with a clear sky on Monday. Clare staying pretty cool over the next few days, 17 on Sunday, Monday and Tuesday. And Broken Hill also feeling those chilly conditions, cloudy skies on Sunday, 17, sunny on Monday, finding up on Tuesday, 18 degrees. So as we've been saying all week, winter is certainly on its way, best to rug up. And that's Southern Cross News for the working week. Thanks for your company. We'll be back on Monday. Hope you can join us then. Good night.